32 seconds left. Here's Pearson. He got it. Touchdown. I don't believe it. He just threw the ball over the track.
All right, welcome back to the Ultimate Hail Mary. I'm Drew Pearson, the original number 88, as we take the journey to immortality. Along with me on that journey is the great Paul Salpin, our entertainment guru. And Paul, you know, we've been having some great guests.
Oh, yeah.
But this week, none better or greater than this guy we got coming up next, and that is the great voice of the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's any other voice I ever listened to, but if I did, I don't remember it because it's always been Brad Sham, and he's with us today on the Ultimate Hail Mary. Brad Sham, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you.
It's good to see you, and see you in this atmosphere, a little more relaxed at home, chilling a little bit.
That was good for the first couple of months.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody is ready for human contact.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who's a young filmmaker from Atlanta, and he did a documentary about whether all of this has been the death of the handshake. And I'm saying, hell no. No, I want to shake people's hands and give them a hug, and I think we're all just doing the best we can. And now the trick is to deep breath, hang on, don't jump the gun, because it's not over. It's closer to over, but it's not over.
Yeah.
So just stay smart.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And at our age, Brad, we got to be real smart, right?
Yes, and I'm fully vaccinated.
You and me both. Amen. Amen. Hey, Brad, this is the off season. We know what the Cowboys do at the off season. I know when I played what I did in the off season. What does the voice of the Dallas Cowboys do in the off season?
You know, Drew, that's changed over the years. There was a time that I did a lot of college basketball. I did national radio for the NCAA tournament for more than 25 years. And then, as happens with all of us at some point, they invited me not to participate. And so typically, in years past until last year, this would be the time that I would travel a little bit and go see stuff, and that's obviously not been possible last year or this. And so, I mean, I have a pretty active spiritual life that involves a lot of study. I like to read and
Nice.
Watch, binge stuff, and like everybody else, and I read like 5 or 6 newspapers a day, online and live, so because you got to stay on top of things, because in spite of the way it feels, the world has not stopped spinning.
Yeah, right.
And so you still have to know what's up, and so that'll frequently fill the day.
Well, I think one of the things you stay on top of is Dallas Cowboys and their moves in the off season.
That's right.
I'm sure you know a lot about that, but the biggest move was getting Dak signed. Dak Prescott signed and keeping him in the fold for another 5 years or so, and
well, I think 4.
At least 3 or 4, right? Guaranteed. So, but that was big, getting that sign, not just because he's a quarterback, but his presence in the locker room, and you know that better than most people, Brad, what he brings to the team, not just his attitude on the field and play and talent on the field, but the way he handles himself in that locker room as well.
Well, I made the statement, and I might get some pushback from you, but I've made the statement that I understand the enormity of what I'm saying, that they've never had, in terms of intangibles, in terms of leadership, competitiveness, crossing all lines in the locker room, inspiration, being who you are, they've never had anyone better than him. I can think of 2 guys in that leadership position who I believe he is equal to, and that's pretty good company.
Right.
But having known Roger as a player, having known Troy as a player, to me, he's the heartbeat. This guy's their heartbeat. just as was the case with number 12 and number 8.
Right.
And is he as good a quarterback as them? Probably not yet. Will he ever be? I don't know. But it's also a different game.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen you had a chance to play with the rules that they're playing with now. When you played,
Absolutely.
Guys brought tire irons out.
Got that right.
You can't breathe on the guy. And so the importance to me of Dak is more than just what's on the field. It is what you said. It's what's in the locker room. It's what's in the huddle. It's what's in the community. He's clearly one of the most inspirational people they've had.
Absolutely.
And because I have a frame of reference and I have that much regard for Roger and Troy, I think that he is in those intangible areas.
Mm-hmm.
He's their equal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've been saying it all along, and I'll even throw Danny White in there. He didn't have the longevity at that quarterback position, but he was a quality person, a quality leader, and he brought that to the locker room, with his presence.
And I think you'd have to go back and add Meredith's name.
There you go.
Conversation.
There you go.
But the one thing, of course, that elevates Roger and Troy is what they want, because coaches and quarterbacks are judged unfairly, in my opinion, and Danny's the best example.
Right.
But in my opinion, coaches and quarterbacks are judged essentially on what they do after the season's over.
Yep.
And Roger and Troy are the only guys who have played the last game of the year successfully.
Mm-hmm.
So until Dak gets to that category, he's going to fall short in public estimation of those guys, but not in my estimation as a leader, in the intangibles. And I just think at that position, it's just incredibly important.
Yeah, you know what? With Roger in that locker room, I learned how to be a pro football player, but also learned how to be a pro professional person as well. Mm-hmm. I think Dak, as you mentioned, brings that kind of presence. Yeah, he's in the locker room with all these other pro athletes, but they see how he carries himself, They see the opportunity he gets because he carries himself that way. On a national level, a local level, and I think they'll pick up on that as, we're not worrying about them being pros on the field, but are they going to be professional off the field? Are they going to learn that kind of lesson?
Well, if you're going to, if a player wants some of what you're wearing on your right hand,
Hood.
Yeah, then you have to be a peak professional in those off the field areas.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's what will make the difference in getting one or more of those. And one of the things that impressed me about Dak from the very beginning, he went to camp his rookie year in competition for the third string quarterback job. And by the time the regular season started, he was the starter.
Yeah.
But when they came back from camp, and in the before times when we were out in the locker room, and you would see him spending as much time as he was spending with his top receiver and his top running back, he was with the nickel corner over here. He was with his offensive tackle over there. He was spending as much time with a promising rookie on defense as he was with anybody else. I mean, the guy just understood. He literally has a degree in leadership. He has that degree from Mississippi State, and he understands, and it's not phony. That's the important thing. Yeah. Some guys say that they are leaders, and if they say they're leaders, and if a guy stands up and says, "I'm the leader of the team," he's not the leader of the team.
Right.
And the guy who is never has to say it, and everybody gravitates to him, and that's what's the case with Dak, and it was the case with Roger, and it was the case with Troy.
That's a good point, Brad, because you just can't come in the locker room and say, "I'm going to be the leader." A leader within a football team is developed within that football team. And there ain't no second teamers or third teamers leaders on a football team. You got to be one of those frontline players, and you got to bring it each and every week. And the players see that, and they want to follow that and get in line.
It's not only each and every week; it's each and every day.
Each and every day. You got that right.
From the time the off-season program starts, those guys are around each other as much as they're around their families.
Right.
And a guy who's going to shortcut it or be phony in May is not going to be able to leave the team in November. And so those guys have in common that they were their unique, authentic selves every day, ending in Y.
Yep.
That's right.
Well, Brad, we got some things going on, coming up, about 5 weeks with the draft.
That's right.
Yep.
Saw something today about Patrick Surtain, measuring out 6'2", 200 and over 200 pounds, and he ran a 4.45 40, which impressed everyone. Do you think they're going that way, Brad, on the defensive side?
Your time, Drew.
He beat that. He'd be waiting at the finish line for me.
Here's what I'd say. He's clearly a top prospect.
Yes.
He's going to be a first-round pick somewhere up there. I can't tell you today the difference between him and the kid from Virginia Tech who's undergoing a micro-disc procedure. And
they live barely.
I read say he'll be fine, he'll be ready to go for training camp. And then there's a kid, Joe Horn's son, the Horn kid at South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can throw a washcloth over those three guys or if it takes a beach towel.
Yeah.
But they're all good players. I have come to really believe that with very few exceptions, if you're picking 10th in the draft, now maybe they'll trade up or down, but if you're picking 10th in the draft, don't pass a great player. Because you need a cornerback today, and they desperately do, and C.D. Lamb's the best, most recent example. They weren't looking for a receiver when they did that draft last year, and all of a sudden the guy who was 6th on their board is there at 17, and he's too good to pass. So I bring that up to say this. Surtain, maybe, sure. You do your due diligence on Farley, you look at Horn. I have a very, very high regard for Micah Parsons, the linebacker at Penn State, who opted out last year, who I saw play in the Cotton Bowl 2 years ago, and I watched a lot of tape on him, and he is a game-changing player, in my opinion.
Right.
If they can trade down and find a disruptor in the interior of the defensive line, I don't know who that guy is. Maybe the Barmore kid at Alabama. You don't take him 10th. I'm all for that. And Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida, is not just a tight end.
Yeah.
The guy, I think, I'm prepared to be contradicted by people who have studied a lot more tape, but I think of Kyle Pitts potentially as a more athletic Jay Novacek.
Okay.
So the guy's a tight end. He's not going to be a blocking tight end like Dupree or Witten or some of those guys, but he's an athlete.
Yeah.
He's going to be, and he might be a transcendent player. I'm not saying take him, but if they know their board, Drew, if they have Kyle Pitts, I'm going to make this up, and I put it on Twitter yesterday. I'm just going to make this number up. Let's say they have him as the 5th best football player on the board. And because people are looking at quarterbacks and offensive tackles, he's sitting there at 10. And if they have him ranked the best player, take the best player.
Right.
Find a place for him, and you'll find your cornerback. Now, if it's close, if he's 10 and Surtain's 12, and you can talk your way into it, but just on our team, you don't have to look around the league. We can just, I can just reach in my drawer, and I can pull out the Cowboys media guide. I can go to the draft page, and year by year I can show you where they took, we need a defensive tackle. So they took a defensive tackle.
Right.
And that didn't work out so good because they passed up guys who were better football players.
Yep.
So if you're asking me, is Surtain the guy? He might well be. I know I saw some Florida versus Alabama. And Kyle Pitts did pretty well against Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
So if Surtain's the guy, I'm sure it'll work out great.
Right.
Just take the best player.
Right.
Surtain, if it's Farley, if it's Horn, if it's Pitts, I'm fine with any of them.
Well, you know, Brad, that's the way the great Gil Brandt did it back in the day. You know, he took the best player available, and look how that worked out, the success we had doing it that way. And when you take a player because you're trying to shore up a specific position, you take that player, might not be the best player, you're trying to force that player into that situation. You take the best player available, he'll naturally fit into a situation that you're not even looking for him to fit into. And it works out better that way.
And if you don't need him today in this sport, I promise you'll need him in 10 minutes.
Amen. 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 All right. Hey, Brad, Paul's got something he wants to ask you before we let you go.
That's right. Well, we always ask people on the show, and we don't have to explain to you what this means, but your Hail Mary moment. But that moment in your life and career where you just had to go for it, your back was up against the wall, and it worked out for you. What was that for you?
You know, that's a good one, Paul, because I've probably been too risk-averse in my life, and I don't know that it's always served me well, and there have been times when I have thrown a Hail Mary and I did not have Drew Pearson on me.
Me too.
And it hit the ground. And so the trick then, I think, is to, as long as it's not fourth down and you're not getting the ball anymore, the trick then is to not quit trying.
Yeah, right.
You just have to keep trying. So I've just been really lucky. I will tell you, the best answers to these kinds of questions are the ones that come right off the top of your head.
Amen.
Big deal. When I was a junior at the University of Missouri, I applied for a broadcast internship from a company that doesn't exist anymore, but this was back in the 20s, so a lot of things are different.
Right.
And there was a clerical error. They put me in a line for interviewing for an advertising internship. So I went through with the interview, even though as soon as I saw it, I said, this is not where I asked to be or I'm supposed to be. So I went through with it. Now it's the end of the day, literally. The end, and I said to the guy, excuse me, this was my Hail Mary. I said, I think I'm in the wrong place because I signed up for the broadcast internship. And he said, well, it's 5 o'clock. I don't think, I said, but that's really what, he said, okay, we're going to squeeze you in. Got that internship to a radio station in Washington, D.C. in the summer of 1969, and I learned as much in 3 months there as I did any time in my life. And that, I don't think winning that internship got me any jobs specifically, but it sure gave me preparation. Yeah. And that was one where I just kind of said, excuse me, I think someone made a mistake, and that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Right on.
Love it.
Well, we glad they fitted you in that situation, because as they say, the rest is history. You become a Hall of Famer, the voice of the Dallas Cowboys. And Brad, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to be with us on the Ultimate Hail Mary. Thank you. I appreciate you.
You are the original.
Thank you, Brad. You are the original Brad Sham. Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer. Appreciate you, Brad. God bless you. Stay safe.
Thank you, Paul.
All right.
Thank you. All right.
Hut, 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 hut. There he goes, the great Brad Sham, right here on the Ultimate Hail Mary.